We play, pet, chat with, and brush our cats. And we often don't even notice that this is exactly what they frequently don't want. Because cats aren't as complicated as we like to believe. On the contrary, they are misunderstood. And once you understand that, you'll suddenly be able to read almost every one of their reactions like an open book. Most people express love through closeness. They hug, touch, hold tight. But for cats, closeness doesn't automatically mean affection. On the contrary, too much of it can feel like a loss of control. When your cat is lying calmly on her scratching post and suddenly your hand lands on her, something crucial happens in a fraction of a second. Her brain doesn't evaluate the situation based on your intention, but on her sense of safety. A grip from above? Could be an attack. A sudden touch? Maybe a rival. That's not a sign of ingratitude, but of deeply rooted survival behavior. The ancestors of our cats spent thousands of years in the wild, where unpredictable situations meant danger. So if she pushes your hand away, maybe even scratches or bites, she's usually not being moody. She's reacting instinctively. And yet, many owners interpret exactly that the wrong way. They see rejection where in fact trust exists. Because a cat who stays near you, even when she isn't being touched, is already showing one of the highest forms of closeness she can give: voluntary presence. Here lies the great misunderstanding. We believe that love has to be visible and physically felt. But cats express affection through distance, time, and their freedom to choose when and where. They come when they want to, and that's what makes their gesture so sincere. Researchers have observed that cats carefully study the behavior of their humans. When we learn to stay still and wait, they learn to approach. It's like a silent dance between distance and trust. But what happens when we disrupt that dance? By meaning well, by simply doing too much? Could it be that sometimes cats aren't rejecting us, but teaching us instead? If cat owners have one thing in common, it's the desire to do everything right. But that's often exactly where the mistake lies. Cats are not passive beings waiting to be entertained or cared for. They are active observers, constantly analyzing their environment. So when we shower them with affection, toys, treats, and attention, they don't perceive us as loving partners, but as unpredictable sources of stimulation. In other words, as someone who constantly disturbs them. Too much activity creates restlessness. Too much food destroys their natural hunting rhythm. And too much closeness takes away what they need most: independence. A U.S. study showed that cats who were excessively played with or petted exhibited significantly higher stress responses, visible in dilated pupils, faster breathing, and even measurable hormonal changes. The fascinating part: as soon as owners reduced the amount of interaction and let their cats take the initiative, these stress symptoms almost completely disappeared. Cats live by the principle of self-determination. They don't want to control the world, but they do want to control when they engage. And that's exactly what we overlook when we try to fill every minute, interpret every move, avoid every mistake. Problems especially arise when our cats lack structure and reliability in these matters. When they don't know when it's playtime. When they have no idea whether, at your next encounter, they'll be picked up right away. When she doesn't know whether she can sleep peacefully in her basket, or if your hand will reach down from above the moment you walk by. One of the greatest gifts you can give your cat is not constant attention, but peace and self-determination. Yet it's in playtime that the biggest misunderstandings become clearest. Because cats do want playtime, but on their own terms. But if cats are so independent, why do they need such a strong play routine with us? The secret behind playtime with your cat isn't in the movement, but in predictability. Cats are creatures of habit. They love rhythm, but not monotony. Many owners play at random times, using the same motions and the same toys, until their cat loses interest entirely. Instead of rhythm without monotony, what she actually wants, she gets no rhythm at all, but complete monotony. What cats truly want is clear structure, but variety within that structure. For example, a short hunting sequence every day at the same time, but with a different prey each time. Sometimes a feather wand, sometimes a ball, then a bouncy toy. That provides both safety and excitement. Equally important is the ending. Cats want to decide for themselves when the game is over. If she's chasing the toy wildly and suddenly stops, that's not disinterest, it's most likely success. In her inner logic, she's caught the prey and the ritual is complete. If the human then tries to force her to keep playing, he breaks this natural cycle. Researchers observe that after successful play behavior, cats often pause for a moment, then groom themselves and lie down. That's no coincidence. It's a deeply ingrained biological reset. The prey has been caught and eaten. Now traces and scents are removed, as if licking the blood off paws and fur. After that, it's time to sleep, to recharge for the next hunt. Anyone who understands this realizes cats don't need constant entertainment. They need routine and a sense of control. And maybe that's the real key. They don't want a performer. They want a partner who understands their rules, and someone who doesn't overdo it. So what if cats aren't complicated at all, just consistent? When you truly try to understand cats, you quickly realize they're not moody or random. In fact, they act completely logically. Their behavior follows clear biological rules. Every movement, every reaction has a reason. We just often fail to see it because we apply human standards where instinct reigns. A cat doesn't seek conflict. She seeks balance, safety, self-determination, and predictability. These are her three constants. When they are met, harmony arises almost automatically. Especially when it comes to self-determination, we humans tend to overstep. Not because we want to annoy our cats to death, but out of love and care. When we think, my kitty should be brushed again. She's already lying on the couch, so why not now? When we feel like having her run around a bit, we toss a treat in front of her nose, even though she's dozing. And when we've had a bad day at work and feel like no one understands us except our cat, we often think, I just want to cuddle her and hold her, even though she might rather be looking out the window. By doing so, we keep crossing her boundaries, disrupting her inner compass and peace. And then we're surprised when she suddenly runs away, scratches, or even starts avoiding us completely. But in truth, we were the ones acting irrationally, at least from her perspective. And that shows one thing: cats aren't complicated. They're just consistent. They follow their natural laws, ones we've never really learned to see. If you let her be, if you give her space instead of rules, and rest instead of stimulation, she'll reveal her true simplicity. Cats don't need constant explanation, constant petting, or continuous attention. What she needs is a sense of control and reliability. Only when those are in place does she seek your closeness. Only then does she want to play with you. And only then is she truly happy when you come home. But her instincts and inner compass also have another major influence on how we live together, especially when we try to teach her to follow our rules. Because there are fascinating reasons why it's so incredibly difficult to train cats. If you want to know why, click on the image on screen to watch my video on this topic.